So one of the cool things about variables is that you can change the values of them. Like for instance, we have this integer apples here that equals 17, and then we have a line underneath that says I have, well, however many apples we have, 17 in this case. So I have 17 apples in my basket. And when we run this, well, that's exactly what we get. I have 17 apples in my basket. Now, without changing a single bit of code in this particular line here that displays how many apples we have in our basket, I can say change the value of apples up here to 200. And now we can see, well, I have 200 apples in my basket, and prints off to the screen. And once again, we didn't change any of the lines of code that, printed that out to the screen. All we did was change the value of this variable here. Well, as it turns out, there are situations that arise where you don't want that value to change. And you can do that with something they call a constant. You can create a variable. It's not really a variable, it's a constant, but it looks like a variable. And the value is guaranteed to stay the same. So let's demonstrate that. Say we have this constant that we want to create called pi, and well, because pi never changes, pi is always 3.141 and some numbers after, right? But say that all we need is 3.141 here. Well, we can create this constant by typing out the keyword const, and then we put a space, and then any data type can go here. It can be an int, it can be a float, it can be a, I don't know, char, it can be literally any data type here. But in this case, we'll have a const float since pi is a float, and then we have to name our float something. And so in this case, we'll name it pi. Now, convention is whenever you're dealing with a constant value that never changes, you type it all in uppercase, the whole thing, all caps. And if it's multiple words that you have to type out, you can type out the number pi with underscores in between each if you need to. But in this case, let's not kill ourselves. Let's just call this a pi. That was just an example if it's more than one word that's involved. And then after you name your constant something, well, then you assign it a value just like you do a variable. And so in this case, let's just call it 3.141. And that's it. And then you can just start using pi like a normal variable. And we can print this off to the screen as a proof of concept. And then there you go. There's our 3.141 printed out to the screen. Now, if we ever try to change the value of pi in any way in our code, say we say pi now is going to equal 9, which would mess up our calculations involving pi, no doubt. Well, when you try to run it, there's an error with this line, pi equals 9, and it's saying that pi is read only, meaning you can't write any values to pi. You can only read the value from pi, and so that's how it protects it from being changed. And so let's get rid of this line and just run our code again. And basically, that's a const in a nutshell. They could be of any data type. You just put the keyword const there and make sure that it's all in caps. Now, it'll work all lowercase. This is just a convention that programmers use where you make your constants all caps. That way, when you're using it later on, other programmers know, hey, don't do anything. Don't write any code that tries to change this value because it's a constant. Easy enough, right? All right, see you in the next one.